Hi guys, welcome back. This is episode 2 from the Dachshund gang, where today we're going to be talking about getting your first Dachshund. So you've got a few options. The first one being to go and buy a puppy. Second one would be to go and get an older dog that needs rehoming. And the third option would be to go to a rescue centre and get a rescue puppy or a rescue dog. So we follow the Red Foundation. They're an emergency Dachshund rescue group on Facebook and Instagram. We also follow Dachshund Rescue, the RSPCA, and the Kennel Club website also have a site dedicated to rescue dogs. I've put these links in down below so you can have a look at them if that's an option that you're thinking about. So I decided to buy a puppy from 8 weeks of age. I used a website called Pets for Home here in the UK. I've put a link down below so you can also have a look at that as well. We also emailed a few breeders from the Kennel Club website just to get a feel of what I needed to look for and also see if they had any litters available. But most of them usually have a waiting list or they can inform you when their litters are due. So I use those sites in particular. There are a lot of dodgy sites out there though, so please be careful and make sure it's genuine because there is so much fraud going on, especially with a dog like the Dachshund where they can go for quite a lot of money. So like me, you've gone out there and made the best decision of your life to go and get yourself a Dachshund. There's a lot of research that you need to do and a lot of reading about the breed. Hopefully this video will speed things along for you, but I do recommend that you do some on top of it. So Dachshunds come from Germany. They were bred specifically to be hunting dogs and they're actually the smallest category of hunting dog. Their actual name, I'll try and pronounce it properly, Dachshund, is German for badger dog, obviously relating to their purpose. There are illustrations dating back to the 15th century of Dachshunds, so they've obviously been around for quite a long time. An interesting fact is that Queen Victoria actually fell in love with the breed and had them herself. She actually raised their popularity in the UK back in the 1840s, but when the war started, they became a German icon, so as you can imagine, their popularity depreciated. Other famous artists, such as Picasso and Andy Warhol, also loved the breed, to the point where they even included it in their artwork. So, talking about different sizes, you have a standard Dachshund. They were bred to scent, chase and flush out badgers and other burrow-dwelling animals. They usually average between 7 to 15 kilos in weight and 8 to 9 inches in height. The miniature-sized Dachshunds were also bred for hunting, as I've already said, but they were for smaller prey like rabbits and vermin. They average 3 to 5 kilos in weight and 5 to 6 inches in height. So I've got Dash, my model, here. So, if we look at his front paws first of all, he's got quite big chunky paws and they're very disproportionate to the back ones. You probably can't see them very well, but they're quite small. He has got a very, very long chest, and trying to get coats and things like that, you actually need to get specific Dachshund ones because it's hard to cater for their chests. But interestingly, their chest is so that they've got a better lung capacity for when they're chasing and dealing with their prey when they're hunting, which I thought was actually really interesting. They're meant to be long-bodied, muscular little dogs. So Dash he's quite long, but he's not the longest of boys, are you? And he's certainly getting very muscular. We've got a little bit of puppy fat that we need to work on, haven't we, Dash? Yes, might have embarrassed him then. They also have a very long snout, as you can see. Dash has got a long snout here, don't you? Very good for kisses, but mainly so that they can sniff and smell their prey. And talking about your paws, they're also very used in the garden, aren't they? Dash likes to dig up my garden, as well as Maverick. He's also a very guilty culprit, aren't you? Yes, you are. He knows. So yes, they will dig up your garden, so good luck. Thank you for being a very nice model, Dash. I'll put you down now. So if you're looking at getting a Dachshund, there's a few things that you need to look at as to whether you definitely want one. The first one being temperament. They are very outgoing, feisty little dogs. They are very versatile and faithful and loyal to their owners. They're very intelligent, and this often gets overlooked, and they need to be stimulated mentally and physically. The other thing that they're associated with is stubbornness. I see it a lot in Dash at times, but I think he's becoming a bit of a teenager, so he decides when he wants to do things. So their health problems then. Dachshunds can have serious health problems if they're not exercised properly and their diet isn't managed in the right way. The main health issue that they are at risk of is something called IVDD, which is intervertebral disc disease. And this is due to their long backs. Guys, I cannot stress enough how important it is for you to do some research on this. It is really devastating to read horror stories about this problem. The other thing that they can develop is something called retinal degeneration disease. Most breeders have their dogs tested for this, and it's something called a CORD1 mutation PRA test. And if you do get a KC registered dog, it will be on their certificate when you get it if they've been tested or not. So going back to the IVDD, as I've said, you really, really need to read about this. It's so important. So many dogs are rehomed due to this problem where they end up getting the puppy, it develops IVDD, and they haven't got the right insurance and they are not able to deal with it financially. Some of the surgeries can cost £5,000 as a minimum. So it's so important that you get the right insurance that covers everything so that you're well prepared for it. So stereotypes then. Dachshunds get quite a bad rap for being small, yappy little dogs, and also that they're very untrainable. Personally, I haven't had any of these issues. They do bark at stuff, don't get me wrong, but I tend to try and discourage it, and I think it's worked really well. I will talk about this later on when I do some training videos with them for you. So the first thing you need to decide then is what type of Dachshund you want. I've already talked about the sizes, so you've got standard and you've got miniature. My boys are both miniatures. You then need to look at what type of coat you want for your sausage dog. There are smooth coats, which is what I've got, long hair and wire hair. I like the smooth coats because they are easy to maintain in terms of grooming. I like seeing their lovely shiny coats, and it's just personal preference really. I just prefer that one. So have a look, and there are some advantages and disadvantages with all three of them. Then you need to move on to the colour that you want. So a few examples of those would be black and tan, cream and tan, red, choc and tan. My boys, as you know, Dash is black and tan and Maverick is red, turning into a shaded possibly, so it's getting a bit darker. One thing I will mention is do some reading about what Isabella and blue colours are. There are some issues around health there. They are what's known to be a dilute colour. So just be really careful if you're having a look at those. Do some reading and find out whether you want to buy one of those or not. The other thing you need to think about, obviously, is whether you want a boy or a girl. I can tell you from my own experience, I went with a boy because I thought later down the line it would be easier because I wouldn't have to deal with seasons and things like that. But Dash is now coming to the age where he started marking. So both genders have issues with things that you need to manage and things that you need to deal with. I would like to possibly breed from Dash when he's older. So that was another reason why I thought about getting a boy. So again, have a look and see what you want to do in the future, whether you want to get a boy or a girl. So I just nipped off camera quickly to go and get this off my living room wall. This is a 5-generation enhanced pedigree certificate. This is Maverick's one. I've got one for Dash as well. I did have to pay a bit extra when I registered them, but I love the fact that I've got their history and all of their grandparents and their ancestors on here. I don't know if you can see in red, they are Kennel Club champions and different things. It's a really nice touch. I love this, and it's really important for me to have this if I end up studying the boys in the future, because then I've got their history. So if you're looking at buying a Kennel Club registered puppy, you're looking at paying between £1,500 to £1,800. It varies. You can pay more than that, £2,000 to £3,000. It's usually a specific breeding line that you're paying for there. Standards and wires are slightly less. I think they're under £1,000 mark. Miniature Dachshunds are just becoming more and more popular for some reason. People just love them. I've put a few pictures down below there so you can see that the registration numbers have really increased over the last 5 to 10 years. It's totally your decision. If you don't want to get a Kennel Club registered puppy, you don't have to. They go for under £1,000. And if you still want to breed from them, then you can. There's no issues whatsoever there. Have a look at the website, do some research, and then you can make up your decision as to what you want to do. Okay guys, this is a really important bit for you, and this is the sort of questions and things you need to be asking when you go and see the breeder. A lot of breeders have council licenses, they do it for a living, but there's some of them out there that don't, and they are just as lovely. You need to find the right breeder for you and get the right impression from them when you speak to them. So, most important question you need to ask them, can I see mum? You want to see the puppies with mum, you want to see how they're interacting, you want to see the condition of mum and what she looks like, and also her temperament, to see what the puppies may be like in the future. Next possible thing you want to see is their paperwork. You want to see if there's any endorsements on mum's paperwork with regards to the puppies, as to whether they are restricted from being showed, restricted from breeding, and also whether they've had any tests done, such as the PRA, which I spoke about earlier. It would also be really handy to see Dad. If you can't see him, then ask for a picture of him, because then you can also look at his size, body, and ask any questions you can about him as well. You also maybe want to ask if the parents have had any further testing. Some breeders do testing for IVDD and other bits and pieces, so that might be something you want to ask. You want to ask what food they're currently on, so that you can prepare and go and buy some, so that when the puppies come home, you're organised. You want to check to see if they come with any guarantees with the breeder. So if they suddenly find out to be carrying some form of disease or health condition, you need to have a chat with the breeder as to what's going to happen then with any future payment for vet fees and things like that as well. You also want to know what level of contact is available with the breeder after you've taken the puppy home. Are they happy for you to ring them or email them or chat with them about any issues or concerns that you have? Both the breeders I got my boys from were really, really lovely. I was able to message them about a few concerns I had, especially Dash's one, because it was the first time I'd had a puppy. So it's really useful to have that link with them, because they usually are very experienced and they know what they're doing. So try and establish that with them. When you take the puppy home, I usually like to go and get them at 8 weeks of age. This is a really important question because you need to know, obviously, and plan for your puppy to come home. As I said, I like them to get them at 8 weeks of age. I got both the boys at 8 weeks of age because you're able to start the bonding process quicker and the training process. You want them as soon as possible, really. Some breeders say 12 weeks onwards, but you need to just find out and see what they're happy to let them go at. If a breeder lets you take the dog home earlier than 8 weeks, something's wrong. This is the minimum, it's 8 weeks, so do not go and pick up a puppy any earlier than that, and maybe have some questions in your head if they let you do that. There are possibly more in-depth things you can ask. Have a look online, there's lots of advice on there. I've not covered everything here, but these are the main things that I think you should be looking at when you go, and the things that I asked when I went, really. The other thing you need to think about is that the breeders might ask you lots of questions. I think that's a really good thing, and that would put my mind at rest that they really care about their dogs and their puppies. They might ask you things like, who do you live with? Where's the puppy going to be living? What's your routine? Do you work full-time, part-time? So don't be put off if they ask you these questions. They're just trying to make sure that their puppies are going to the right place. So that's pretty much us for this video, guys. I hope it was helpful. As I've said, everything I've talked about in this video has just been my own personal experience and my own research online. Everybody's different, and you just need to find out what type of sausage dog you want and then go from there, really. But please be careful, there are so many scams out there, so really make sure you do your research on the breeder, and good luck, and we will see you in the next video, won't we, boys?